Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back 1% of the account's net revenue to the planet at no cost to you. There's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement, and there's no minimum balance required. The 1% for the Planet checking account, only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
The Bachelorette and Friends. From first love to happy ever after.
What's that?
From dating to dick pics.
Oh my. Oh no!
The Bachelorette and Friends. Oh, I love a good dick.
This podcast contains sexual references, coarse language, and adult themes from the beginning and throughout. It is not recommended for listeners under the age of 15.
If you subscribe on patreon.com/thecatchalorettepod, you get early access to episodes, not to mention keeping the pod alive for as little as $1 a month. Subscribe now. Patreon.com/thecatchalorettepod. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Bachelorette and Friends. I'm your host, Carla Anita Mattiazzo, and today's guest is Heather Crawford. She is an actress. Welcome to the podcast, Heather.
Hello, how are you today?
How are you, Heather? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, nice and warm day, nice and sultry, warm, just like, get the blood pressure up and the heart rate up and, we can talk all sexy things.
Should we tell everybody how we met on that note, on sexy things? Should we tell everybody how we met?
Was it that sexy? I was trying to think. God, sorry.
I think from my memory, it was at a TAFTA workshop at the Goodwood Institute Theatre, pretty sure.
That's right, yes. It would be. That's a while ago now, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a real long time ago.
No, we're really, really young. No, not really, really young. We're still young. It's fine. It's fine.
When was that? I don't even know. I was with my ex at the time, so it's at least 6 years ago. At least.
Yeah, I guess it... Yeah, it would be about 6 years ago.
Jesus.
What the hell did we do that time?
I don't know. I'm asking myself the same question, Heather. All right, so let's get stuck into the themes of the podcast. So by now, if people are listening along, they will notice that, one, the sound quality's gotten better because I know more of what I'm doing. And two, we go from first crushes to happy ever after and everything in between. So let's start at first crushes, Heather. Can you remember yours and what was the lovely little story around that?
Okay, so I would have been in reception.
Yes.
And there was this lovely boy from Canada because his mother was a teacher and they've sort of done a year coming over, like so strange thing. And he's like older sister and something. But anyway, so his name was Ryan Boyd.
Oh.
And he was a cute little fella. I mean, I was one of those gigantic children. So like in photos, when you look back on class photos, I'm like the ridiculously tall child that looks like double the size of all the other children, is going to eat all the other children.
Heather.
So, Ryan was a smaller child, but still, anyway, I really fancied him. We used to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yes.
At school, and it was... I had one rival who I'm still friends with, Sophie, who she always got to play April O'Neil. And I was forever wanting to play April O'Neil.
But you've got red hair. That's your role, man.
No, it didn't work like that. So I ended up playing like a villain all the time.
Right.
So in hindsight, that's great. I'm fine. Like, I'd love to play the villain all the time. They're a lot more fun. But at the time, it was like, oh, April O'Neil. Anyway, part of the appeal of Ryan was the way he said tomato because of his accent. It was like, say it again, tomato. Ah! Things like that. I remember going to his birthday party, getting invited to his birthday party and like getting like a little gift bag with like a little My Little Pony thing and lollies in it. It was just great. But I was devastated when they left at the end of the year. Like, never meant to be.
Canadians are quite appealing, though. Their accent is lovely, and generally speaking, they're quite a lovely race of people.
Yes. And I mean, yeah, to a bunch of 5-year-olds, it was great. It was such a novelty.
Yeah.
So exotic in the middle of country South Australia.
Yeah, where'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up, Heather? Where'd you grow up?
So outside a town called Balaclava in South Australia's mid-north. Yes. And off of a farm. So I was a farm girl.
Yes.
And yeah, so on a wheat. What kind of farm? Sheep, wheat, barley. Yeah, so on a weekend it would be shifting sheep at some point, which even thinking about it now kind of triggers me. Just got a real education in different, swear words, strong language, particularly from my father. Get the fuck around there! No, you fucking cunts! Oh, fuck! Jesus fucking Christ! So it's amazing. I didn't really repeat that at primary school. But.
Yeah.
But it would be directions that you couldn't actually hear because you'd be so far away. So you'd be, standing in a gateway or standing to block a road to stop sheep running down, and it'd be like, what? Bastards! Good times.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have a heart attack. That is so funny. Oh man, I could just see that scene playing out. That's really funny. Obviously not funny in the moment for you guys, but like funny, funny now.
Hilarious now. Then not so much, no.
Yeah, no. Wow. How many sheep did you have?
At varying times it would vary. So I don't know, probably at most that might be about 500. It wasn't like heaps and heaps. It wasn't like we're a big station or anything like that. But it was, I don't know. Sheep work.
It's hard work.
It's good. Yeah, good, hard, honest work. Yeah, good Australian, honest work. But, I've left that behind.
Yes.
For my cosmopolitan life and to become an actress and to have so much work that I just don't know what to do with myself and don't know what to do with all the money I have. Oh, wait, that's right. It's 2020 and just there's nothing fucking happening.
Yes.
And nobody wants to fund anybody and people want to shut down institutions. So,
Yeah.
All that, yeah.
Fucking hell, man. I don't even know. Like what? How? Okay. I'm struggling to put this sentence together because there is a lot of emotion behind it and I'm trying to articulate effectively what I want to say. How are the creative kids coming up. When they're shutting down all these institutions that have been around for a really long time, and now all of a sudden, because we've had one fucking year where we've had to pause things, I don't feel like that's enough of a time frame to go, okay, let's pull the pin.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they make these decisions as far as, I mean, yeah, there's just no support. But these are the same assholes who will be sort of just completely fob up off any South Australian talent, who also decided to stay in South Australia, and be up the asshole of Zac Efron when he comes to town. So.
Yep. That's not Zac's fault, though. He is a lovely...
Oh, God, no. No, it's not his fault. It's just those hangers on, those ones like... Yeah.
It's just bullshit for us who are here.
Yeah. Well, it's the same, like, as far as the carols by candlelight, I think, in the city, because basically the whole thing was, well, it's really hard to get anybody interstate to be coming because of COVID. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
We're all here, fuckheads.
There's so many performers here, and fantastic performers. It's like, it's like, nope, nobody here, can't sit, no, they must all be interstate. Whereas, you know, all my friends are like, excuse me, yes, I've studied and I've been overseas and I've done like this amount of shows and this sort of thing. Here are all my reviews and all my fantastic. Yeah. You don't give a shit. Oh, okay.
You can do some stuff like, it's really frustrating. And I wonder, it's interesting though, there was a period of time, and I don't know exactly what the dates exactly are, as in year-wise. There was a period of time where South Australia and Adelaide was the place to go for performance stuff. Yeah. For like TV, for radio, for live theatre. That's why we have so many theatres here. What happened? I don't know what happened, but why is it now that artists that are only from interstate are valued and sought after when, like you said, there are so many of us here, Heather, and we're ready to go? And a lot of the time we've done work for no pay when they wouldn't, nobody from interstate would be coming to do that shit.
Mm-mm. No, they don't, you know, you wouldn't be going interstate for exposure dollars. Yeah, exactly. It's bullshit. Yeah. It's bullshit.
That is a bullshit.
It's a shit. It's fucking shit.
Okay, let's get back to the themes, because we could talk about how, like, okay, one more thing before we move back into the themes. One more thing. So Holly Matheson and I were talking about the other day, we feel like there needs to be an institution or something set up for South Australian performers as a support network.
That's a great idea.
Yes, we've got, like, the Adelaide Fringe is a fantastic support network. Like, they're very supportive. They're wonderful. All the people that work there are outstanding. So many wonderful things to say about the Fringe, but it would be nice to have somewhere where it doesn't matter what kind of artist you are, there is a place where South Australian performers can go and receive different support, whether it be information about how to do grants, or information about how to create your own stuff, information about the different avenues of study that, I don't know. I know this is what Holly and I were talking about, because we just feel like we're so underrepresented and we're only considered when we do things like Holly went and did a thing in Hollywood Immersive, I think it was, in LA. I studied musical theatre in New York and Philadelphia. Like, we're only considered, but because we've been back here for such a long time, it's like, oh, well, you're just a South Australian.
Yeah. So what have you done lately then?
Yeah. What have you done lately, motherfucker? Well, COVID.
Just, I've been eating my body weight in chocolate. Thank you very much. And I've been, discovering different ice creams.
Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of The Catchalorette and Friends. Make sure you follow the podcast at The Catchalorette Pod on Instagram. And if you think your love journey is worth sharing with me on the podcast, send me an email, thecatchalorettepod@gmail.com, or slide into my Instagram DMs. Oh, and don't forget to give the podcast a review and tell all your motherfucking people to listen to the show. Now let's get back to this episode.
What happened after that first crush, Heather?
Oh, well, he moved. I was sad. Then, I suppose there were there are other ones that sort of you fancy and that. But as I was getting older, I was getting uglier. I don't know. No, wait, bear with me. So teenagers now, I don't know what's happened, but when I became a teenager, I had to have braces.
Yes.
I got glasses.
Yes.
I put on weight. Look, pretty, bad. Now, teenagers I see, they're all beautiful hair, beautiful skin, gorgeous. But it's like, what? No. This is not, you're supposed to go through that awkward thing of your early teens, where you look like a hormonal monster that's just sort of climbed out of, I don't know, their stack of, you're supposed to be thinking that your impulse body spray is the best scent ever, and it's your signature scent, not the fucking proper perfume. No, and that you have lip smackers, I got this really pink one. Look, it's got glitter in it.
Yes.
I feel so sophisticated in this. Ooh. No, none of that. They just sort of suddenly I'm a child to then I am an Instagram model.
Yes.
What happened?
Because back in the day, I was in my Kappa, because I'm Italian, French Italian. I was in my Kappa tracksuit pants, T-shirt, my fucking wog chains on with my with my crosses and my chili and that shit. Man, what the fuck? I don't understand. I remember we were all in fluoro tracksuits. Did you have fluoro tracksuits?
It wasn't such a big thing at our school. I do remember, do you remember snap pants?
Yes, I had them, yep. Stripper pants.
Yeah! I got a budget pair of them that basically did go all the way up to the elastic waist. Another most awkward thing, if you've unsnapped them all, to then walking across the oval back to home ec or whatever, is just well, this is really tricky. I'm going to trip over now.
This is not great. This is an idea.
How does this look? Oh. But at the time, it was this is great. And I remember getting Tencel jeans. I'm this is the fucking best. Yes. I wrote about them in my diary. 1998.
Oh,
yeah, today, for my birthday, I got Tencel jeans. They are so nice. Oh, yeah, these are the best. And then a few days later, I'm talking about them again. My life hasn't changed much. I don't know. I get really excited about, I bought this, top for $5. Brilliant, yes.
Wait.
And a few days later, I can't believe I only spent $5 for this top. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good question you have asked, Heather, about, do you think it's because we did not have social media? We had MySpace, and that kind of happened in late high school, but we had MSN, and that was it.
Yeah, MSN chat for me because, I'm going to show my age. So as far as MySpace, Like I was out of high school by that time. So yeah, I had no social media stuff going on except for MSN chat. And then at the time I was like, well, why would the people I talk to at school, why would I then go home and talk to them a bit more? Like, can't it wait till tomorrow? Like, I see them again tomorrow.
Really? Was that so? You weren't on MSN much?
No, because I was like, I could never keep up because like people would, you know, message after message. I was like, hey, I'm just answering this one like from 5 messages ago. Like, oh no, just wasn't my bag. And I was like, what am I going to talk about? I struggle to, you know, live on a farm. No.
Talk about the sheep. That would have been
great. Yeah. Oh, isn't it so interesting?
I have to say, I loved MSN. I loved it. I loved it. But the thing that I used to stress about, yes, you knew who your mates were that you were talking to, but you could talk to anybody.
Mm.
And I remember once going over my cousin's house and I didn't realise you could talk to anybody. And she's like, oh, you know you can talk to anybody. I'm like, what do you mean? I thought you had to just know you could only talk to your friends. She's like, no, you can talk to anybody. And then I remember this was my first introduction, I think, of feeling strange about being objectified because obviously you couldn't send photos on this thing. So I remember distinctly we were talking to someone, don't know this person's name, assuming it was a dude who was an adult and shouldn't have been talking to kids. And the questions that were being asked, I remember turning to my cousin and being like, why are they asking what our hair colour is and what our eye colours are and what size our dress is? Like, I'm confused. And as a teenager, a young teenager, that was my first introduction of, oh, this doesn't feel good. What is this about? And not really having anybody to talk to about that. And then my cousin was just like, oh, stop being so uncool, just go with it.
I remember it would have been about like the middle of high school, and I remember going into chat rooms and that sort of thing, and a guy started talking to me, and I sort of like, oh no, like I was being a bit cagey anyway. Yeah. But he's like, oh, we should catch up. And I said, well, I don't live in the city. Like, oh, maybe the next time you come to the city, you could come and meet me and that sort of thing. And yeah, and I was probably about 15 or something. I was like, I'm going to close this chat now. Like, no thanks, goodbye. Yeah. And never go into this chat room ever again. Yeah. Because it was just like, that feels a bit creepy.
Yeah. And it was because we didn't, like I said, you couldn't see who you were talking to. You didn't know who you were talking to. So it was heaps easier for somebody to be a catfish because you didn't know what they looked like anyway. So you literally could have been talking to fucking anybody. Like gross. I actually haven't thought about that in such a long time, Heather. Like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's in some ways the fact that we can see everybody, but even though, like, obviously catfishing still happens.
Yes.
But, yeah, looking back on that version of what social media started to be, I feel like there's a whole lot of different, more dangerous stuff through that, and people are easier to be lured into a, dangerous situation than possibly what we have now.
Yeah, I think, and also, we talk about it more, and it's sort of a lot more open discussion.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's sort of like, who would I go talk about this with? Because it's like my parents certainly didn't use MSN chat. And this is it was a sort of new territory, so
correct. Ew. Yeah, right. Yep. Thinking back on it doesn't make you feel great, does it?
No, it really doesn't. Oh God, shall I move on to something? I was just thinking as far as social media and people hooking up and that sort of thing. So back in my day, dear, what we would do is we'd get our friends we'd write a little note.
Yes.
Write a little note and
the ones that you had to unfold and stuff, they were origami folded together.
Well, there's that.
Yep.
That thing. I was never that clever. Mine was just a note of like, you know, would you like to go out with me? And like a box for yes and a box for no.
Yep.
And like you get your friend to take that to the guy and like, and then she'd bring it back. So, you know, a lot of the time, the guys tick no. So it's fun. Then there was a friend of mine who kept on wanting me to get together with this other guy in the friendship group. I was like, oh no, he really likes you. No. You should totally go out with him. So I ended up going out with him. But it was sort of like, what do we do? Hold hands.
What year
for
was
3
this?
months. It was like year 8.
Oh, bless.
I was a very shy girl.
Yeah.
I was not a I was slow to develop. I didn't have my first kiss until I was 19.
Oh, wow. First kiss at 19. May I ask, why did you wait until you were 19?
Generally because before that, guys that I asked out, they weren't interested.
Oh, right.
And I mean, it was just sort of like, hey, so I'm always of a believer, like, you know, if you like somebody, just be honest about it and just sort of go, hey, do you want to catch up for a coffee or whatever? I hate these like fucking mind games or seeing other friends sort of going like, I don't know if he likes me. Oh, he said hello to me today and then he gave this look, you know, that look. And I was like, well, maybe he does. But then the other day, he didn't say hello, not in the same way that he usually does. So I don't know if he likes me. It's like, I can't be fucked with doing that bullshit. It's like, so, you know, I've had ranging success with just saying, hey, you want to catch up for coffee? Some treat it as if it's fucking like, hey, do you want to get married? Because some guys just like, I'm like, you know what?
It's okay.
Don't worry about it. We won't bother.
It's okay.
To another guy who we just finished talking about how he like had nothing to do for the next couple of weeks and like he was going to be really bored. And I was like, hey, well, we want to catch up for a coffee. Oh, really? Yeah, it was. Oh, no. Oh, actually, I've got heaps of stuff to do. It's like, you literally just said you had nothing to do. But
sure, mate.
Okay.
No worries.
Message received.
Thanks, dude. Thanks. Oh, man. I don't understand why people can't be just transparent with stuff. Like, don't play those silly things. If you're not interested, just say you're not interested. Don't be a dick and be like, oh, actually, even though I've just gone through in detail how I'm super free, I'm going to say, oh, whoops, all of a sudden I've forgotten that I have a massive schedule. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also like friends can catch up for a coffee.
Yeah,
it's
correct.
Like, when I say coffee, it's not some sort of weird code that maybe I'm missing. I don't know.
No, it's not. No. I have the majority of my friends are male, and we often say, what are you doing? Fuckhead, are you free this day? Let's do something. And that's it's not code for anything. It's I want to hang out with my fucking friend. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, like there were a couple of responses. It's like, well, clearly, I must really repulse you. So I'm going to avoid that now.
Oh my God. So what happened from the kiss at 19?
Okay, so the kiss ended up being a disastrous 18-month-long relationship.
Oh, no.
Look, you know, he, like, at the time, obviously, you know, you're 19 and it's like, oh, this is great. Somebody really fancies me and that sort of thing. You get sort of taken up with that, particularly when nobody else has ever wanted to show you, like, that sort of physical affection and that sort of thing. We ended up living together.
Oh, wow. That's young, Heather. Whoa.
Yeah, I know, right? And then it's like he worked, I was still studying, and we just didn't have a lot of money. And then I'd have money that would, like, disappear, and I'd be like, oh, that's funny. We didn't have enough money. We didn't, for the 9 months that we lived together, we didn't own a fridge. We were, that sort of thing. But he'd always managed to scramble up. And look, you know, I get it, like, you know, but you got to look after things first. He had quite a big weed habit, which then turned into a pill habit. Yeah. And I remember we went away to Melbourne to see Moby. Like, he got given, like, we got gifted flights and tickets to a Moby concert, and we went to that. And I remember I spent the entire time berating him because he wanted to go buy some E off of anybody who was selling it. And I was like, you know what? Like, we're in a city where we don't know anybody. Yeah. I'm just, like, a little concerned. And the whole evening, neither of us got to enjoy the concert because we were so focused on getting drugs. God. Anyway, so I'd ended up being this nagging person that I don't like. To be. And when we got back, I remember he disappeared for a little bit because we lived in a big block of flats near the showgrounds, and he disappeared for a while, and then because he had some other mates that lived on the other side of these flats. And one of his mates, like, called me, like, oh, Heather, you better come over. Like, and, like, he'd taken, you know, he'd kept some money aside that he hadn't told me about.
Of course.
On a trip.
A lot of guys do. And then, a lot of guys do. Even in long marriages, there's plenty of guys that,
And anyway, so he'd gone over to this friend's house and like, oh, yeah, I just want to buy some pills over here. And then he took them straight away. And it was like, oh, you know, you need to come and collect your boyfriend who's high as fuck. So I was not happy, as you can imagine. But anyway, it ended up being that he dumped me.
Oh, no.
4 days before my 21st. So that made that extra special. And then, like, yeah, he was still sort of around in my life and that sort of thing when I moved. And then when I got sick, he suddenly he was sort of like, oh, I've got to tell you, I've got a girlfriend now.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
That's okay. Yeah, sure. And then I remember just sort of having a go at him in that message, and then he just sent this whole abusive stuff. What was it? I was the queen of sympathy and pity, and I made Kurt Cobain seem joyful.
This is coming from somebody who was high and on pills all the time, so I wouldn't take any of that.
And at this stage, he was also taking crystal meth.
Yeah, well, that eats your brain, so yeah.
Yeah. And, oh, that's right, I needed to crawl into a hole and die.
Oh.
It's like, so, I mean, okay, so a petty part of me, like, you know, I wanted to just, like, tear him a new one, but I went, okay, delete, and just no contact whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's, I mean, at this point now, it's just sort of like, you know, there's certain people you sort of go, fuck, like, you know, what time wasted. But at the same time, like, look, I learnt some important lessons about myself and about maybe sometimes the things I say, because I could turn around and say some very cruel things. And so, you know, whether, I mean, you probably deserve them, but at the same time.
Because you were pushed to the point, Heather, of frustration because you were dealing with somebody who wasn't all there because he was off on another planet with hardcore fucked up stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think, you just sort of get so frustrated. So, you know, I learned that, you know, maybe just to be a bit more open and also just sort of a bit more, you know, picky, a bit more choosy about who you spend time with and that sort of thing. And also not to get sucked in, because he could manage to say all the right things. I was this amazing woman. I was so beautiful. I was, you know, the best thing in his life, and like he can't wait to marry me and have children with me and all of these things. But I mean, now, I mean, look, some of those things are nice to hear, but other times it's like, ooh, like that's too much. Like, I'm more on
going to follow through. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, talk is cheap.
Yes.
So, and you can say any amount of things, it doesn't make them true.
Correct.
So,
and you can say it as many times as you like. If you're not going to follow through, look, from my experience dating somebody that took a lot of drugs, it really unsettles you because they're so unpredictable. You don't know where you stand, because at any moment there could be a whirlwind of emotions that you have to, you know, combat. Because
definitely,
it's a tough situation, and I think taking the lessons is the best thing from that situation. And look, Heather, it's good that it was in your late teens, early 20s. I wish I didn't waste my time in the longest relationship I had. I felt like, like you were saying, with the promises, external pressures from family and that, with expectations and all that. But I really feel like there's still a part of me that feels like, you fuckhead, you took away my most fertile time in my life, and you knew I wanted to have kids, and you kept promising that bullshit. And I could feel in my gut, you can feel when someone's promising something and it's not going to happen, but you want to believe their words.
Yeah, definitely.
So this, I guess for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, those 5-6 years that I was in my longest relationship, I feel very angry still that my time was fucking wasted. That guy didn't even fucking like me for the majority of the relationship. I feel it was just convenience. And yes, if I know this is going out there and this is going to be a hard pill to swallow if anybody that knows him listens to this, because I've never really spoken about that publicly anywhere. But the fact that it was very, very clear from the very early stages of our relationship, through the mutual friends that we had, he knew I wanted to be a mum. And then unfortunately, when we broke up, I dated a guy very on and off for about 1.5 years-ish, very, very on and off. And that's on me. And that's a whole nother story. But I wish that 5-6 year relationship was maybe a year of dating, because there were red flags there early on. And because I didn't have any self-worth, I didn't have a good set of boundaries. All my friends were getting married and having kids. And I was like, well, this is what I want too. So I guess Yeah, I just look. He had some good qualities, but we were not fucking suited at all, and he was really switched off for the majority of the relationship for a myriad of reasons. And I really wish I had strength in myself to go, this actually doesn't feel right. I feel like your words are definitely not in line with your actions. I'm going to pull the pin. I wish I did that, because now I'm reaching the age where I may not ever be able to have kids now because I'm reaching that age bracket, and that just fucking makes me furious. I don't know how you feel about shifting boundaries and self-worth, how that played a part in the lessons that you learned from the drug guy.
Oh, and definitely. And I mean, I think that the problem is, like, women, we generally have this thing inbuilt in us is like, oh, you know, just be patient. Like, you can get whatever you want from him and that sort of thing. It's like, oh. You know, this idea that, oh, no, he'll come around to it or whatever bullshit, And it definitely is the self-worth thing. As I said, like, for me, this was like the first time anybody had shown any interest in me physically, that sort of thing. And really, I mean, yeah, he used that to his advantage.
Manipulate.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and I mean, he started to do things like, on certain days, like, he'd be like, oh, do you have to go to uni today? Do you have to go? Like, or like with a rehearsal for a show. Oh, you're not going to miss you for one rehearsal. You know, you could stay here with me and something. But then I'd be like, I suppose I can. Like, yeah, that might be nice if we hang out. And then he'd fuck off. He'd leave me in the unit and he'd go fuck off with his friends. But it was just this sort of control thing. That I picked up on that, and so other times he was like, oh, do you want to stay home? I was like, what? So then you can fuck off? Like, no, I'll just go to my rehearsal, thanks. Like,
see ya, fuckface.
But I remember getting home from like a full day of tech rehearsals and stuff, and admittedly, this guy, he also had mental health issues, I think misdiagnosed health issues, and he'd basically torn the unit apart. Like, he dragged out our mattress into the living room. He was a writer at the time, and he'd torn up his script everywhere. There was, oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need to. There was a knife embedded into the chopping board, just sticking up, like he'd like full on into the chopping board, and like windows open and everything. And I came in, I'm like, oh, hello, what's going on? And he's just making a cup of tea, and he's like, oh, hey, yeah, I must have gone into some sort of psychosis, and I thought I was doing, you know, all this other stuff. It's like, what? I don't know if it was just a, like, you know, you were away and you know, you didn't do what I wanted you to do, so I'm going to put on this big show that, you know, you need to come and look after me, or whatever the fuck it was. It was fucking strange.
Did you feel unsafe with that shit, Heather? I would have felt really unsafe.
I'm unsure. But then in your mind you sort of go, oh, no, that never hurt me. But in hindsight, if 19-year-old or 20-year-old me came to me and like was telling me, oh, hey, you know, about this, I'd be like, get the fuck out. That guy is fucking crazy, and you need to fuck off, and you need to go. I don't care where else, just, you know, be on a friend's couch or something, because this guy ain't right. But yeah, you know, this is part of the journey.
Part of forming who you are.
Yes, that's right.
So what happened next?
What happened next was I ended up having a double lung transplant.
Yeah.
So you can't really pick up with an oxygen cylinder. Just before that, actually, to be fair, there was a guy, very sweet guy who I'm still friends with. Just before I was sick, we'd met at a thing through another friend, and he was lovely. I clearly wasn't in the place for any relationships. But I felt like I made him nervous. You know, with some guys, like they're keen on you, but you can feel their nervous energy.
Yes.
And it just really put me off.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want a terrified bunny.
No,
Thanks.
no, thanks.
Like, you're a sweet guy, but yeah, no, thank you. And then I suppose, because my last relationship had gone so badly, and like this guy, he kept on texting me, like, hey, when are you free next? When are you free? 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 This is like, whoa, that's probably a bit much for me. And so that, yeah. Anyway, so he's lovely. He's married. He's got kids, and you know, so he's got his lovely life and that sort of thing. And he got the right person for himself, because I certainly wasn't it. But yeah, so got sick and all that sort of jazz, and having big surgeries, and then more life lessons of our own, you know, mortality and you know, all that sort of thing, and what that's like. And then I was single for a year after transplant, and then this guy who I'm now with, who I live with, Sam, we had known each other for a few years through a mutual friend. And at a Halloween party, I got exceptionally drunk. That's how all good stories start. I was dressed up as a naughty police officer.
Hello.
And he was dressed up as a scientist, sort of thing. Anyway, I remember vaguely in my drunken haze, like stumbling around the party, and then I just sort of talked to him a couple of times. I was like, oh, I really looked at Sam properly. But like, yeah, he's really cute. Yeah, it's nice. I sat next to him. So he's sitting on the sofa at this party, and I sat on the arm of the sofa next to him. And I started playing with his hair and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And he was just having this conversation with some other people. It's just like,
you were
there.
super drunk.
I really was. And then I remember I thought I had just thought this in my head, but I'd actually said it out loud, like, your hair smells so nice. So, Auntie Heather can give the real tips on the pickup lines, you know. It's nice. So I kept on just sort of, you know, being, you know, it's just touchy-feely sort of thing throughout the evening. Then Sam was very nice, and he gave me a lift home to my place.
Sam, well done.
I really wanted him to make a move on me, and he didn't.
Well, what a gentleman.
Very gentlemanly, because I got out of the car and I was like, fuck, God, I must be some sort of ugly chick. Like, Jesus, fuck. I'm in my naughty police officer outfit. Fuck this.
And you were so drunk, though. You were so drunk.
So, yeah, and I stumbled home, and I remember I had a little drunk cry about it, because it's like, oh, no, I'm never going to find anybody.
Oh, Heather.
But he'd been a gentleman, that's all.
Does he know about the cry after?
I don't think he knows about the drunk cry. No, he doesn't. He knows that I wanted him to hook up with me that evening, but he doesn't know about the drunk cry.
Well, he'll find out when he listens to this.
Then I started thinking about it for a few days and messaged a mutual friend and just like, oh, you know, what's the story behind Sam and all that. And then I sort of had said, like, oh, well, just put it out to Sam, because I didn't have his number or anything like that, that, you know, if he would like to catch up with me, and even if he likes a no strings attached scenario,
Oh, hello.
you know, I'm completely up for that. So she let him know, because not long after I did get a phone call from him.
Yes, and how did that go?
Well, we organised to have a coffee.
Oh, lovely.
You know, good old coffee, good, safe, reliable coffee. I remember when we did actually catch up for the coffee, the cafe we went to, so I got there early because I thought, like, I'll put myself in prime position near the front door, like outside. I'll just read my little book and, you know, look all alluring and all that sort of thing. And after a while, it was like, I've been waiting 15 minutes. It's like, fuck. Like, have I been stood up? This is ridiculous. So I texted and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'm here at the coffee shop. And the next he's ringing me. He'd gone through, like, the side entrance of the coffee shop and he'd been waiting for 15 minutes inside. Like, very good.
Not
good,
a prime position after all, Heather.
No, clearly not. The front of the shop is not a prime position. I didn't even know about the side entrance, so there you go. So good. Meanwhile, yeah, we were probably in our own sections going, like, what a jerk. Gee, it's like, what the fuck is this about? Yeah, like, God, fucking waste my time. Then when we had like really nice coffee and chat, although he doesn't actually drink coffee, he doesn't, which is I still find very bizarre. He's not a hot beverage person. So I think he had like a Coke or an orange juice or something.
Look, I'm allergic to coffee, but I still love me chocolate. I still love me like and a North too. So the whole hot beverage thing
North.
I don't get.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, well, different strokes for different folks, isn't it? So then, like, he abruptly ended the coffee date. Like, well, I've got to go do some grocery shopping. I was like,
all right, mate.
Okay, right. He's like, oh, I'll drop you home. I'm like, okay. And so it sort of ended really abruptly. I'm like, oh my God, like, is this his thing? I was like, I talked to my friend about it. She's like, no, that's Sam. Like, he'll decide, like, okay, this is time to wrap this thing up and now I'm going to move on to a different thing. So it wasn't anything against me. He did legitimately have to go and do his grocery shopping. I love him to bits. I do. I really do love him to bits. So anyway, then I thought, I need to organise like a follow-up thing. And it was just really hard it was sort of coming to the end of the year and I was like, oh, my friends are in a play. He's like, no, I don't want to go to that. And, you know, and then I thought one more last-ditch attempt. It was, I think it was the last day of the year. It'd have to have been. I sort of said, hey, do you want to go see a movie in the city? And I thought if he said no to that, then okay, well, I've done it. Then put a full stop on it. And then next year we can move on to something else.
Yeah.
So there were two films. We decided on the Capri. No, not the Capri. Oh, my God. What's the one in Rundle Street?
The East End Cinema.
Yeah.
Is it Crawford Cinemas? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Anyway, that. And so there were two movies showing. There was like Twilight or Frost Nixon. I was like, Twilight. I don't want to go see Twilight. And like he's going to be like, Twilight. I don't want to see Twilight. So we decided on Frost Nixon.
Great.
And you know when you go for a first date with someone to the cinema and like you start playing like the handsies sort of thing?
Yes.
Yeah. So we started with that. But then the film got really interesting and we stopped and we were just focused on the film.
Should have gone to see Twilight.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, we had I had a coffee afterwards and all that, and then took me home, and then he did, come into my flat and...
Oh, hello. Very good. Nice.
And funnily, okay, so I don't think, no, my mum's not going to listen to this, hopefully. My good friend, Crystal, she gave me a call, she just happened to call the next day. And I'm like, good morning, how are you? She's like, oh my God, you had sex last night, didn't you? I'm like, what do you mean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, yeah, and I mean, over the years, we've been now together 11 years.
Fuck off, that's ages.
But we've only moved in, when did I move in? I moved in last year.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's patience, man. I couldn't be that patient.
It is. Sam often says, oh, you're very patient and that sort of thing. For me, as far as the kids thing, unfortunately, because of my medical history,
yes,
it's probably not really a thing that's going to happen for me, unfortunately. I do have a niece now, and, we have 4 cats, and, and cats you can lock away in the laundry and nobody's going to call the authorities on you. So...
Bit of a problem if they're children, so that's good.
Yeah. Even if you leave them with a litter tray and some fresh water and some tin food, it's probably, people kind of frown upon that.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a tad. But yeah, over the time, it has been sort of, that was always, like you say, part of the picture, part of the plan, to have kids, but yeah, other extenuating circumstances. Sam's not oh, this is part of his big plan, so it kind of works in with it, because I'd feel awful if I was with a guy who desperately wanted the family, desperately wanted his own kids and all of that, because for me it's a very hugely risky situation, particularly at present. So
yeah, you got to look after your health first, Heather. What tips would you give people to sustain a long relationship?
Okay, stay hydrated. Patience, and I think always discussing where you're at. I think Sam and I have had some little ups and downs, and I have to say a big thing that I've learnt from Sam is to talk about things, to talk through stuff.
Yeah,
he's the one who's actually sort of instigated, well, what's wrong? You need to tell me what's going on, sort of thing, rather than just oh, it's nothing, and just sort of putting it down, and that just builds resentment. Being able to, understand that you are two individuals. There's nothing, with some of these couples, are when two become one. And it's what are you, it makes me think of The Blob or something that you just I think you can't live in each other's pockets.
Right.
I think you've got to have your own interests, have your own groups of friends and stuff, people that you can, look, there's going to be instances where you're going to want to vent about something. It doesn't mean that you love them any less, but it can mean that it's frustrating as all fuck. But that's okay.
Yes.
You don't have to be, bloody, love hearts and, Cupids 24/7. It's just not realistic.
No, it's not. It's not
No. And like oh God, sorry, I'm going to rant about this too.
Go ahead.
Sam isn't on social media. So then some people think he doesn't exist. But like these people that live in the same house and they're like, I just love my significant other. They are so wonderful. Love you, honey. Mwah, 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 mwah. It's like, just go talk to them.
Tell them.
It's like, no, you're doing that for the benefit of everybody on Facebook.
Yes.
And you're saying like, oh, they're so wonderful.
Yes.
It's like, well, I would expect they are if you're,
with them.
You would think that if you're with them. I hope so.
Yeah.
It just, it's such a weird.
A acquaintance of mine did that about his wife the other day. And I wrote a message to him saying, oh, how many brownie points did you get for that one? Or did she ask you to post that one for you? I'm like, for fuck's sake. Really, I'm like you, Heather. If it's their birthday or an anniversary, go for your fucking life. Yeah. But when you're putting up random shit like that, I'm like, what's the motive? Where is this coming from? Is this actually the girl posting it, pretending to be my skepticism goes through the roof with that shit. And it just makes you go, nobody else gives a fuck. If you want to express that, go express that to your partner. You don't need to tell everybody about it. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems so rude, like to people like, yeah, I'm so in love. Yes, I am. Yeah, you believe me. Yes, I love this person so much. Yes, that's right.
And it's the same thing with, and I'm going to really piss some people off here, but I'm going to say it. So a friend of mine has got a podcast called Quite the Pickle. Each week they have a new guest on, an expert in the field that they're talking about. They give them a scenario and that expert has to tell them what they should do in that scenario. They had a cyber expert on recently and that was very, very interesting, like all about social media and security and futuristic intelligence. It was very, very, very interesting. So once I listened to that, and I've always been a bit like when people post monthly things about their babies, I'm like, this is a human who has not chosen to be on social media yet. And there's actually somebody that I went to uni with who refuses to put her kids on any social media. Maybe she'll do like an art field post of like their feet in the sand or something where you can't see their faces or whatever. Yeah. And I'm all for that. I think that's really good. But listening to this episode of Quite the Pickle, I really worry about all these kids that are constantly put on social media before they're ready to make that decision, and the repercussions of all the technology that's coming and is here now and starting to be used with identity theft and all that kind of stuff. It's like, shit, man. One, nobody wants to see that all the time unless you love that kid, like relatives and close friends of mine. Their kids, I love seeing that stuff. Yes. But if you're not a close friend, I don't want to see your baby every fucking minute of the day. Like, I'm fine. Thank you. But I just worry about the security for these kids when they get older because we don't know what's coming.
No, that's true. And I mean, photos can end up being, any image can be taken and put somewhere else. I mean,
go ahead.
You talked about catfishing earlier. And so it's just, what can those pictures be used for? You know, you have like, oh, these are my kids or whatever, or this is my baby, or this is my sister's baby. Like, I love taking care of this child, you know. It's any information you're putting out there. Yeah, you got to be. Yeah,
you got to be so sort of careful. And whenever I've put up like photos of my cousin's kids or And look, if you go to my social media stuff, my social media is basically me pumping out my show stuff. I rarely put like personal stuff up there, but on the rare occasion that I do pop something up there, and if it's not my child, I don't have children, so obviously it's not going to be my child, I will always ask the parent. I will always say, are you cool with me just putting a picture up there? And a lot of people are like, Carla, why the fuck are you even asking me? We're totally fine with that. But I remember when one of my cousins had her first child and her best friend did a post of the baby before the parents did. I was like, oh, shit. I remember how upset my cousin was. And that's just, you know, you should know that. If the parents have not put any photos anywhere of the baby, maybe that's not, and maybe they don't want photos of their baby anywhere. Yeah, so you got to be so careful, so fucking careful.
Definitely, yeah. It's I even asked, you know, my brother and my sister-in-law, like, you know, with my niece, like, oh, is it okay if I put this up? And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. But I just, like to ask just in case and just before, because they don't put, they put some stuff up, but not a lot.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know. It's just, and you know, it is, you know, their child, and however they want to be bringing up their kid.
Even with my dogs, I'm very careful with how much I put up of my dogs, because I know people are like, fuck, I don't want to see your dog again. Like Max and April, and going back to your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, she's actually named after April O'Neil. Max and April may not want to be out on social media. Like, I haven't really asked them. I should probably ask them a question.
Get their consent. That's right. It's all about consent. I just assume my cats, they like to be on social media, the cats, you know. So, you know, sure, yes, people can bask in this glory as long as they like. You know, this is fine. I mean, I think people get sick of following me on social media because of all the puns and stuff. So
they're awesome. You know. I love the puns.
It's good time. Puntastic.
Do you want to leave us with a pun before I love and leave you?
I don't wish to podcast aspersions on love, but sometimes it just sucks.
Thank you so much for your time today, madam. It's been lovely to see you.
So lovely to see you too.
Let's schedule in a coffee, Heather. A coffee?
Yes, a coffee. Excellent. Yes, a coffee. I don't know if I'm available.
The Catch-A-Lorette, with friends near and far, from heartache to catfish and sex toys. The Catch-A-Lorette and friends. See you next time, if you dare.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back 1% of the account's net revenue to the planet at no cost to you. There's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement, and there's no minimum balance required. The 1% for the Planet checking account, only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.